Transmitter device activated. Coordinates set for Earth 2.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Earth 2 podcast, your weekly exploration of the DC Comics multiverse and the legacy of their Golden Age characters through the Silver and Bronze Ages of comics. I'm Peter Watson.
I'm Christine Panton.
And I'm very excited. I'm David Steele. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. This week and next week, we are returning to the pages of the Secret Society of Supervillains. A few weeks ago, we gave you some Road to Secret Society, and then we gave you the unpublished issue 1 of Secret Society, and then we gave you the actual issue 1 of Secret Society. And this week, we're going to be covering issues 2 and 3. Next week, all being well, we'll do issues 4 and 5. It really ramps up. I have loved doing the prep for these. I'm really enjoying these stories. Let's keep the energy going. Peter will now tell us about the cover to issue 2.
At the top, we're still in that period. DC Comics salutes the bicentennial, and this is issue 21 in the bicentennial range.
I think it's the last one that we'll be doing, actually.
Ah,
I think so. Listeners, we hope you've enjoyed saluting the bicentennial just as much as we have. We're both saluting the bicentennial right now for the benefit of our YouTube viewers.
Absolutely. We have the cigar band just under that, with Gorilla Grodd, Captain Cold, and Star Sapphire posed there. Secret Society of Supervillains, the line of DC superstars. No man shall I call master. A funny feeling that might be the title of this issue. 30 cents, number 2, August, and the production code is 30646. The Mightiest Masters of Evil.
That's quite amusing.
Yes.
Because the Masters of Evil must have been established by now over at Marvel.
Well established. They were a 60s creation back in Marvel. So yeah.
That's quite funny and cheeky. I like it.
Yes, so we have a very striking image on the cover, literally, because we have a character flying in a red costume. He's got a sunburst, it almost looks like, on his chest, perhaps a comet, someone would say. Just to get to the point, it's Captain Comet.
Yes.
Captain Comet's flying in, and he is punching Green Lantern in the face. What's that about? Shocking. And Captain Comet's saying, "My friends want you dead, Green Lantern, and if that's what my friends want, that's the way it's going to be." And flying up from the streets is Star Sapphire, and she's thinking,
and what Captain Comet doesn't finish, Gorilla Grodd will.
And of course, Gorilla Grodd's on the street below with his hands outstretched.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like he's waiting to catch Hal Jordan so he can then smash him into the ground or something.
Quite probably, and there's some panicked citizens running about the street. I am not surprised. My goodness, a lot happening in this cover.
It's a belter.
Literally for Hal Jordan.
Yeah, it's very exciting, very dynamic. It makes you want to just dive straight in, and again, with a lot of comics this time, we'll have to watch and see if any scene that's like that actually appears in the story. So yes, issue 2, published on the 20th of April 1976. We dive in, and a caption at the very top of the splash page reads,
"Continuing the larcenous legend of the Secret Society of Supervillains."
And we have an astonishing opening splash image. We almost peak on the first page, quite frankly. It's the Earth from space, and we can see a satellite nearby. And we can see the moon in the background too, so take a drink.
Yay.
And there's a nice little dart-shaped red little space vehicle hovering in space, and its canopy is open, and flying down from the canopy towards Earth, leaving this comet trail behind them, is of course, well, we'll get to in a sec because the captions will tell us.
Long ago, so long ago he can hardly remember when, his name was Adam Blake, and he was human, an Earthman. But that was before he learned the truth about himself, that he was different. For 20 years he spanned the spaceways searching for himself. At last, he's coming home. His name is Captain Comet.
Yes, it is Captain Comet, and then we get the title of the story, which Peter has already, well, not even hinted at. He's told us when he did the cover description. Deep breaths.
No man shall I call master.
Then we get the credits for the issue along the bottom, and it's, there's some good people involved here.
Jerry Conway, writer-editor, David A. Kraft, co-writer, Pablo Marcos, illustrator, Robert Smith from The Cure, embellisher, and Carl Gafford, colourist.
I used to work with a chap called Robert Smith in HMV on Soggy Hall Street. Kelly and I both used to work with him, actually.
I see.
And he was quite precise and spoke like that, and people would say that he was like C-3PO and stuff, and he was lovely. And if you look at my mantelpiece, there's a sort of small brown sort of ceramic sort of cup type thing at some point. Can you see it?
Oh, yes.
Robert made that for me for my 30th birthday.
Wow.
So that's nice. There we go. There's some Robert Smith trivia. Listeners, are there any Robert Smiths in your life? Write in and let us know. Peter will tell you how to do that at the end of the episode.
Robert Smith, are you listening? Any of you?
Yes. David Kraft, of course, who wrote The Defenders for a little while. Mentioning Defenders a lot at this point. Anyway, we're over the page. The captioning continues.
He's been across the galaxy twice aboard his Cometeer, visiting 1,000 worlds with his flight belt, seeing sights no man has seen before him, or will ever see again.
And we see Captain Comet flying down closer towards the Earth. I guess it's his comet trail, but it's nice to imagine it's the heat of re-entry. Captioning continues.
Yet throughout it all, one world has remained ever foremost in his mind. Earth. Home. And of all the cities, there is one city closest to his heart. San Francisco. And therein lies our story.
Of course, we've met Captain Comet previously because he was in our Tiger Man episode a while ago. You're a big fan?
I do like Captain Comet, yes.
Yeah.
Although he's going to be renamed Captain Concussion, I think, by the time we get to the end of this series.
Of course. And it's very interesting, obviously, because he was an atomic age superhero, if you like. And I like the idea of him having been out in space and missed everything that was going on, like the Beatles and JFK and Vietnam and all that. So we'll have to see how all that sort of dealt with over the next few issues. We see him dropping down towards the ground, his comet trail sort of trailing off, as it were, and the captioning returns.
20 years. For a mutant like Captain Comet, a man born 100,000 years before his natural time, it's but a blink of the cosmic eye. 20 years for the rest of the world, it's almost a lifetime. And in a lifetime, things change.
And we see Captain Comet change. We see a sort of cloud of yellow smoke surround him, and his superhero uniform changes into a very smart grey suit, blue tie, and a hat. He steps out onto the busy street and notices, obviously, the changing fashions. We can see men with long hair. It's a black girl with big hair, no other way of putting it. There's some bell-bottoms, there's some medallions, all sorts going on. And Captain Comet, a.k.a. Adam Blake, looks around and thinks,
well, looks like I've made a small mistake in judgment. I switched my special protective suit to civilian clothes in order to be less conspicuous, but it seems I forgot a little thing called style. Apparently, for most part, men don't wear hats anymore, and women don't wear skirts.
Yes, and this is illustrated by a blonde lady in a pair of tight yellow trousers. His thoughts resume.
Clothes seem tighter somehow, more casual, and the colours. Seems I've got a lot to learn about the good old US of A, and the sooner I start, the...
Ah! He's interrupted by a scream off camera. He thinks,
a scream! Some things never change.
She starts sprinting towards the sound.
When I left Earth, the big problem was juvenile crime, street gangs, rumbles. And today...
And he looks and sees and he exclaims,
great stars! What?
For what we see is Gorilla Grodd and Hijack of the Royal Flush Gang running along the road, being pursued by Green Lantern Hal Jordan, who's up in the air above them. Grodd and Hijack engage with Green Lantern. Grodd uproots a lamppost and Jack fires playing cards from his special gun. They disorientate Green Lantern, who manages to fight back and gain the upper hand. We cut to Captain Comet standing on his own as he thinks,
I've seen all I need to see. This man, Green Lantern, has enormous power, and he's using it to injure his fellow creatures.
That the yellow smoke starts to appear again and his clothes change back into his superhero uniform.
By comparison, their abilities are minuscule, and clearly he attacked them. There can be no question. Green Lantern must be stopped.
The next panel shows Green Lantern up in the air and then Captain Comet flying up behind him. The captioning returns.
Less than an eye blink later, the Emerald Crusader hears a voice cry out behind him. Green Lantern, halt!
Hal looks around, captioning resumes.
Catches a glimpse of something speeding. And then...
there is a huge
chapow
sound effect as... there's quite a lot of these double fist punches happening on the show at the moment, isn't there?
Yes, I think it's very Shatner influenced.
Oh, let's hope that Manhunter does a drop kick sort of thing on someone at some point.
And perhaps his tunic will be ripped open at the chest.
I'll have to watch for that. Yes, this astonishing chapow sound effect as Comet strikes Green Lantern, who falls with a thump to land on the rooftop of a nearby building. Gorilla Grodd spots this, and he's astonished. He thinks,
impossible. Green Lantern struck down by this costumed stranger, now attacking us.
Yes, because Comet's flying down towards Gorilla Grodd. Over the page, Captain Comet flies down, grabs Hijack and Grodd by the wrist, flying them up into the air, as he says in response to Grodd,
no, my friend, not attacking, rescuing. I'm an ally, not an enemy. You can read my mind.
And as Comet bears the two villains up into the air, he replies,
I can read your thoughts. There's a difference, friend Grodd. I'm just a man, after all.
Back down on the ground, we see that Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, has recovered enough to make his way down onto the pavement. There's a blonde chick there who speaks to him and says,
Lantern, are you okay? You want me to call you a doctor?
As Hal rubs his head, he replies, I'm fine, miss. And boy, am I mad.
We'll have to leave Green Lantern now, since our book concerns villains and not heroes. Someday we may learn the extent of the Emerald Crusader's anger, but not today. Instead, let's look to a certain skyscraper in downtown San Francisco, known as the Loman Building to most citizens, and the Citadel Sinister to a very select few.
Yes, the very select few that we see sat around the big table in this room are Star Sapphire, Mirror Master, Captain Cold, the Paul Kirk Manhunter, Sinestro, Grodd is there, Hijack is there, and standing is also Captain Comet. And Hijack is addressing the others, Manhunter in particular, and he's whispering, Manhunter, I'm telling you, the guy was terrific. There we were, Grad and me, just starting my entrance exam by fleecing the First National Bank, then who shows up at blasted Green Lantern? Last time I saw Greenie was when I worked with the Royal Flush Gang before I started my own. And let me tell you, I was scared. Grad and me, we put up a fight, but if this Comet guy hadn't come along, we'd be goners. Right, Fuzzface?
To a point, Hijack. Because you're new to the Secret Society, I'll forgive your insulting reference to my hirsute appearance this time. As for Captain Comet, while travelling here, I examined his thoughts thanks to my own rather formidable mental powers, and I learned that the good captain isn't at all what he seems.
Then we get 6 panels of flashback stuff narrated by Gorilla Grodd as he continues.
Listen, and listen well. 45 years ago, a comet flashed through the sky above a small Midwestern town. It was like an omen to the parents of a child born that night. A child they named Adam Blake. As Adam grew to adulthood, he found himself possessed of strange abilities, telepathy, great strength, clairvoyance. He was a mutant, but how important this was didn't become clear until the day a mysterious giant top appeared in Arizona and began to siphon off the oxygen in the Earth's atmosphere.
Yes, giant top, basically like a kid's toy, essentially. We can see some army tanks firing on it, and then we see Captain Comet, as we're now used to him, flying towards it. Grodd resumes.
Wearing a protective suit of his own design, Adam, now a full-grown man, attacked the top and discovered it to be the product of a highly advanced alien civilization. Apparently the top was controlled by someone off the Earth in outer space. To stop the top and others like it, which had appeared across the globe, Adam had to find the top's controller.
And we see Captain Comet flying away from Earth in the little red dart spaceship thing that we described in the opening splash image, and flying towards what looks like a green Quinjet, for another Avengers reference.
And find the controller he did, in an alien spaceship orbiting the moon.
And you can take a drink, listeners, because we see the surface of the moon.
And there he met and fought Haran, leader of an alien race called the Aster.
And we see Captain Comet punching a weird, almost rudimentary featured grey alien in purple trunks, as an asterisk tells us that these events were covered
in Strange Adventures, issues 9 and 10, 1951. Jerry.
And now, looking like the host of Jack and Ori, Grodd has sat down in a very comfortable-looking chair as he continues.
Who were destroying Earth's atmosphere in order to colonize our world. After defeating the Aster, Comet went on to battle other foes, until finally, a few years later, he decided to leave Earth once and for all. He was so far beyond mankind intellectually, he felt lost on our world, and so he went starward, seeking his destiny, and ultimately himself.
Yes, and we see Captain Comet returning to the little red dart spaceship thing and flying off, people waving him away. We cut back to the conference room of the Secret Society, and we can see everyone sat around as Manhunter stands and says, apparently then, Comet is ignorant about Earth's current, super situation.
What are you saying, mon ami?
Says Sapphire. Then Cold says, yeah, pal, spit it out. Riddles aren't my game.
I believe I understand Manhunter's implication, Captain Cold,
says Grodd.
Comet knows nothing about the Justice League.
And then Sinestro whispers, and will believe anything we care to tell him, assuming, of course, that Grodd's mind shield continues to protect us from his telepathy. Grodd then whispers,
you want us to make him a member of our secret society, a dupe in our war against good. And I, for one, vote yes.
And he raises his hand. Mirror Master says,
me too.
Hijack says, yeah, sure. Sinestro says, absolutely. Star Sapphire says,
Oui.
and Manhunter, raising his right hand in agreement, says, with Captain Cold abstaining, the vote's unanimous. And he crosses to Captain Comet, puts a hand on his shoulder and says, Comet, welcome to the Secret Society. Welcome home.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you all.
A very atmospheric page 9 sees Captain Comet visit the long-disused home of his parents. Under a full moon, take a respectful drink. He then visits their graves in the town cemetery. His thoughts are interrupted by a snap sound effect. His head whirls around at the sound. Captain Comet says,
Who?
It's me, Adam. Manhunter. And we see the clone of Paul Kirk perched up a tree looking down at Captain Comet, who replies,
I didn't hear you, physically or mentally, my friend. Were you following me?
Dropping from the tree, Kirk says, Guilty as charged. As for hearing me, no one hears me unless I want to be heard. They walk from the cemetery, Manhunter saying, The other thing, the telepathy is something else again. Grodd's got a mental force field around all of us, to keep you from reading our minds. There's a reason for that, Adam. Not a very nice one, and that's what I want to talk about, away from the others.
Sounds grim, Manhunter. Is this a test of some kind?
Maybe. It depends on your outlook.
Go on.
Well, first of all, some information. I'm a clone, Adam, a living bioduplicate of a man named Paul Kirk, who died some months ago battling a villainous group called the Council. An asterisk takes us to a caption that reads,
Detective Comics 443, Jerry. Or indeed, the previous episode of this podcast.
Yes, we had a lot of fun doing the Manhunter saga. Manhunter resumes, There were dozens of clones like me, but they were destroyed and only I survived. The others were evil, Adam, but I wasn't. Still, they'd gained a reputation which stuck to me.
Are you trying to tell me you're a good guy unlike the rest of the secret society?
Yes, Huh? You know?
Grodd's shield is effective, Manhunter, but not against me. I've known the society is evil since I first...
But he's interrupted by a massive and a bolt of yellow lightning energy strikes the ground in front of them.
Stars and galaxies, what?
Cries Comet, and our perspective shifts to see a bizarre figure. Dressed in green, it's almost that cross between the Marvel characters Banshee and Electro.
Yeah.
So it looks to my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
He's a sort of stylized green M band across his chest, wearing a yellow headdress with sort of jaggedy forks at the front. He has green sort of wings stitched into his sleeve, joined to his boots. That's where the Banshee comparison comes in, I suppose. This chap announces himself when he says, That was a blast of charged atoms, mutant, courtesy of Mantis, whom men call the energy vampire. Manhunter looks up and says, Mantis, you? Here? And where else should I be, slave, but where my master sends me? I overheard your words, and I know of your betrayal of he who rules us all, and this I swear, for your treachery, you will die. And he jumps from the rooftop and drops down towards our two heroes. Manhunter leaps out of the way, and Adam Blake dramatically changes into his Captain Comet gear and engages with Mantis. Manhunter manages to pin Mantis to a wall with a large knife, but Mantis melts the blade, freeing himself, and he fires a bolt of energy back at Manhunter. Comet is able to jump and move Manhunter out of the way just in time. A grateful Manhunter says, That's one I owe you, Adam.
Stay back, friend. He's up to something.
And Mantis leaps into the air saying, Very perceptive, mutant. I've decided to let you live, at least for now. But he thinks, Can't let them know I just ran out of power. Have to rest, recharge. And we see him flying up to a weird sort of purple and bronze torpedo-shaped flying machine. There's a lot of these about in the comics at this point.
Yes. All the rage in the 70s.
Yeah. And he leaps into the open cockpit crying, I leave as I came, worms, abruptly, for such is the way of Mantis. Mantis flies off, and we're privy to his thoughts inside his capsule as he thinks, I wasn't ready this time. Yet I dared not disobey orders. Next time, they die. See the vessel flying off overhead, Captain Comet and Manhunter, and Comet says,
I can still fly after
Let him go.
What's your game, Manhunter? Tell me.
I'll do better than that, Adam. I'll show you. But only if you'll help me convince the others to take a stand. And we have a slow dissolve, and the caption reads,
Thus, the next morning, a sleek flyer lifts off from the roof of the sinister citadel.
Yes, it's another little Quinjet effort, very slick and smooth, pointy and golden orange. We can see it's being flown by Manhunter, Captain Comet in the seat beside him, and behind him in a row, Star Sapphire, Gorilla Grodd, and Captain Cold. And the next page we see it landing in a deserted area at Fisherman's Wharf. And they all climb out of the little flying vessel, And we see them walking across the scrubland, and we see what looks like an enormous manhole cover in the ground. Captain Cold says, "Look, pal, are you serious?" Manhunter replies, "Yes, this is it," looking at the manhole cover type thing. "Grodd?" he asks.
Wordlessly, Grodd lifts,
You see him raising the cover, and a flight of stairs is revealed,
and they descend into mystery.
and our characters make their way in, with Manhunter at the front, saying, "You see, just as I said, an underground complex." He gestures down a corridor saying, "The lab is over here. I'm acting against orders by revealing this, but it's the only way to prove I'm not lying. Okay, you've seen hidden retreats before, no big deal. But are you prepared for this?" And he throws open a double set of doors. We see a large laboratory-type space, which in the middle has what I can only describe as what looks like a huge centrifuge machine.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sort of like hourglass-shaped central unit, and hanging from it on little pipes is a group of about a dozen large glass canisters with what looks like developing human bodies inside. This is on a sort of raised dais in the middle of the floor. We can see steps leaning off, all sorts of equipment all around. Manhunter says to the others, "Go ahead. Take a look around. Take a look at unlimited evil given technological expression. This is but one of many such labs here, and on other worlds. Everywhere. And all masterminded by the single most sinister villain ever to walk the earth, the same financer and force that is behind the secret society of supervillains." Star Sapphire exclaims,
Sucker. Mysterious benefactor sounds evil indeed.
"Evil? He is its essence unleashed," says Manhunter. With a click, he activates a switch on the side of a screen, which bursts into life, revealing an image which Manhunter points out to the others, saying, "Look now upon the true face of evil, the face of Darkseid." And we see indeed that big, beefy, scary character from off of the Fourth World comics who was revealed in the unpublished issue 1 to be behind everything. At this, Star Sapphire points behind them, saying,
Manhunter, behind us. I hear voices.
"Who?" says Manhunter, and they all turn, and another set, or maybe it's the same set of double doors, bursts open, revealing someone that was just giving us a bit of hassle a few pages ago, and a bunch of similarly dressed other guys in green. This new arrival with his pointy yellow headdress cries, "There they are, my slaves! Kill them! Kill for Darkseid!" And Comet and Manhunter exclaim simultaneously, "Mantis!" Captain Cold bursts into action, bringing out his cold gun, and he fires a burst of ice which trips up a couple of the bad guys already as he says, "Frankly, I never heard of the guy, but I just iced 2 of his insects." Star Sapphire leaps into the air saying,
2 others about to jump Manhunter from behind. I'll squash them like bugs with a little help from my Star Sapphire.
Yeah, and using a Star Sapphire very much like a Green Lantern power ring. This is fantastic. She gestures and generates a couple of hands which slam the heads of 2 of Mantis' goons together with a very satisfying
Quonk!
A caption arrives.
Below, drawing on ninjutsu skills memory printed into his genes, skills mastered by the original Paul Kirk, Manhunter is matchless.
There's a great shot of Manhunter punching out another one of Mantis' bad guys with a fantastic
Shock!
sound effect. Amazing. You see, this guy had a sword, and as he recovers his senses on the ground, he looks up at Manhunter and says,
Arrogant swine, have you no respect for my blade? I shall teach you.
Yes, Mantis' goons are all from Spain. Over the page.
Manhunter says nothing in reply. It would be pointless.
Yeah, because Mantis' goon takes a swing with his blade, and Kirk jumps up out of the way of it, and then does a flying kick, amazing, which collides with the goon's face with a
whack,
sending him flying and making him drop his knife. Only a one single-footed flying kick from Kirk, but it's good enough.
Yeah.
Next, Manhunter looks up and sees that their main antagonist is attacking a couple of his pals, and he cries, "Grodd, Adam, it's..." And the bad guy of the moment concludes saying, "Mantis, and I'm too close for you to avoid my blast or my boot." And with a zap, he zaps Gorilla Grodd, and with a he kicks Captain Comet in the face. Oh my goodness. He turns to the others saying, "The rest of you have a choice. Think fast. Either surrender or die." And as Captain Cold, Star Sapphire and Manhunter square up to him, a caption arrives reading,
Next issue. Manhunter, Captain Comet, Grodd, Star Sapphire, Captain Cold, at the mercy of Mantis, the power parasite, in the war for Darkseid's sanctuary. And the rest of the Secret Society too. On sale first week in June.
wow.
Crikey jings.
That was a very good, almost second first issue.
Yeah, it almost felt like a soft reboot.
Yeah, because we're being introduced to the one sort of recurring hero who's going to appear throughout the rest of the series.
Yay, Captain Comet. Yes.
That's him. And how fascinating that Grodd knew his whole life story.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, Captain Comet and Grodd are they kind of equal in mental abilities? We'll find out as we go on through the series, but because they both have got very strong, powerful mental abilities.
Yes.
It's going to be fun. It is going to be fun.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the cameo from Hal Jordan.
See if anything happens with that.
Yeah, another fun thing in this series is a few heroes do pop up now and again. But
Yeah.
it's interesting because obviously issue 1 finished with Copperhead being caught with the cops after him
Yes.
and Grodd sort of failed, after their initiation test.
Uh-huh.
And at this point, they didn't really know that Darkseid was involved, so that's been revealed by Manhunter during the part of this one, which is fun. So it's nice to see that Hijack was getting his own initiation test when Hal Jordan turned up. That was fun.
I wonder if maybe there was like an untold story where Shadow Thief had his and he failed. And he was kicked out, because obviously Shadow Thief was in the first issue.
And he contributed so much.
I know, it's one line as he got kicked in the face. He didn't even use his powers. Or perhaps Shadow Thief was Hijack in disguise. But yeah, that's possibly what happened. And of course, Catwoman still hasn't shown up.
Yeah, that's sort of thing. I would agree with that, actually. There's a real sense for the villains, at least, that a bit of time has passed.
Yeah.
I definitely would agree with that. There's definitely room for Shadow Thief to have failed and maybe got caught and or worse. Because, the others all do seem quite comfortable and they're quite settled at the Sinister Citadel.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Which was set up, obviously, remember that lovely big double-page spread of Sinestro looking at it in issue 1.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, as we record, I've been doing the preparation, the summarising, and working out what we're going to do for the next few issues, and I'm loving this series. I'm loving it a lot more than Freedom Fighters. In some ways, it's doing similar things.
Yeah, very true.
Groups of super characters having fights in and around buildings and such like. This really rattled along, quite a lot going on. I think there was a good balance between the fights and the character stuff.
Yeah, without a doubt. You definitely get a feeling in this that anything could happen in this series.
Yes.
It's like watching the James Gunn Superman movie for the first time, because you've no idea what's going to happen from one minute to the next. Literally, it's like you could end up anywhere. They could introduce any other character.
Sure.
It's a whole blank slate, and Jerry's pulling stuff from everywhere. I mean, that's the new gods being fully introduced. Mantis.
Yeah.
Mantis is really interesting as a character because he's technically the second most powerful new god after Darkseid, but he's got a massive weakness in that he loses his power very, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
But he can basically get himself charged up from other sources, and then he is phenomenally powerful. But he has just got such a mind of a lackey with delusions of grandeur.
It's very interesting what happens to him over the next couple of issues.
There's one major nitpick that I've got with this issue.
Okay.
And that's the fact that Captain Comet's been in space for 20 years and he's never heard of the Green Lantern Corps.
Yes, that's an excellent point. Yeah.
It's not like he was like pretending to go along and say, I'll infiltrate myself with these villains. He literally thought initially that Green Lantern was attacking and was the bad guy.
Of course, as you say, if he's going to have been in outer space, he's bound to have run into a Green Lantern of another sector at some point.
Especially when he's out righting wrongs in space.
Yeah, or maybe there's a running gag when he leaves a planet and the Green Lantern turns up just after. They keep missing each other like a Whitehall farce or something.
That might be a theme going ahead with Captain Comet in this series.
Who can say? Who can say?
But yes, that's my only major nitpick with this, I'll be honest. It still feels a bit fragmented and it feels a bit disjointed from the first issue. I do feel there's something missing between this and the first issue, and it could be issue 1.5 of the Shadow Thief adventure. Let's call it that.
So you're saying it feels like there's a scene missing?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I get that, but that doesn't distract me enough from it. I love the kinetic pace of it. I've said this about a lot of comics we've covered recently, and it's obviously the influence of Jerry Conway, and I mentioned that David Kraft had written The Defenders.
Yes.
This series is the one that to me feels most like The Defenders.
Sure.
Out of the other sort of team books that we're going to be reading from at this period, because there's a sort of core set of characters bubbling through it, but others come and go. Weird stuff happens that comes out of nowhere. It takes turns that you never expect. One thing that's really common to the Defenders, especially of the mid-70s, is the anything could happen sort of thing. And they had sort of, a fairly regularly sort of changing creative team as well.
True.
So, that's maybe a part of it. There's this sort of round-robin sort of sense of Jerry Conway writing a page and then folding it over so the next guy can't see, and then he's got to write his next bit. It's not quite as incoherent as that, but I think it does a good job. This Secret Society does a better job over the first few issues of feeling coherent despite the differences in creative people than Freedom Fighters did.
Sure.
We've done, I think, 3 issues of Freedom Fighters so far, and even in those 3 issues, you're getting sort of whiplash and you have so many questions about what's going on. This one isn't as much work to understand or to go with.
Sure. No, entirely with you.
Yeah. Awesome. Right, shall we look at the letters page that covers issue 2 then?
Yes, let's jump to issue 4's Sinister Citadel.
Oh, and look at that. It's right opposite a Daily Planet page. I think, is that the first Daily Planet page that we've seen?
Could be.
Interesting. It's highlighting our fighting forces, which is a good thing. Well, I used that cover for Death of a Spy on my Hartnell Episodes Instagram a few years ago. There's also some mention of Teen Titans, but I won't say any more than that because it might be one of the ones that we read. So yes, the Sinister Citadel, headed at the top by images of Manhunter and Gorilla Grodd. And the first letter that we're going to read goes like this.
Dear people, when I first saw Jerry's plea for letters telling him what we want, I was tempted to write something of more of what you're doing already. Secret Society of Supervillains 2 is one of the highest quality comics on the market today. A large part of the reason for this is named Pablo Marcos. Anyone who doubts me is instructed to study the inverted Green Lantern on the bottom left of page 4.
So a quick look at that. Yes, that's fair. That's a very good assessment.
However, there is more than just art involved here, since any comic is a sum of art and script. The Secret Society of Supervillains is a group, not of the incompetent clods that usually end up fighting our heroes, but of creatures of pride and power. A Grodd who is positively brilliant. A Captain Cold with a personality as icy as his name. A Star Sapphire who is positively vibrant with character. The Secret Society is nigh invincible, not because of the powers of its members, but because of their grim determination, whether it be against Green Lantern or Mantis. There is an awesome smoothness to this book. The action flows from scene to scene without seeming jumpy. The plotting maintains a small amount of mystery without getting too far ahead of the reader, so that we may enjoy and understand along with the characters instead of getting confused by too many unexplained ends. Best of all, every character is given time to develop a full personality. The fact that Captain Comet shares the issue with 6 or 7 others doesn't prevent Jerry from giving us a quiet glimpse into the soul of a man out of his time and a clone seeking to be an individual. Bravo for that! The scene in the graveyard made a good book into a great one, and that's from Bruce Perello from Champaign, Illinois.
Champaign, Illinois. Is that anywhere near you, Steve? You have your orders. Go and take a photograph yourself under a sign saying champagne, if you can be bothered. Perhaps you could be drinking or pretending to drink some champagne. That's if you got nothing better to do this weekend.
Preferably do it under a full moon.
Yes. Oh, that'd be hilarious.
Yes.
Oh, you'd have to line it up. Right, challenge extended. Don't have too much bonus content this week. Editorial response reads, according to story editor Denny O'Neill, who takes over the mag with the next issue, you'll be seeing a lot more of Captain Comet as well as some interesting changes in the rest of the lineup. So already changing editorial for issue 5. It's crazy, isn't it? Right. Mm-hmm. The next letter from a familiar name reads, Dear Editor, upon venturing deep into the pages of Secret Society of Supervillains number 2, I became quite disorientated and was forced to return to the cover. When last I saw our cast of characters, which was in issue 1, they were 10 in number, all vying for possible membership in the Secret Society. I think this chap's going to make the point you were making. But now the group is substantially reduced. Only 7 baddies are on hand now, including that ex-Royal Flush Gang member who joined the fray just this issue, and apparently all have successfully passed their initiation examinations. Frankly, dear editor, leaving such unexplained gaps between issues is not a good way to establish an interested reading audience, much less any sense of continuity. I would disagree. Readers are going to get confused and go away. I, for one, would like to know what happened to Captain Boomerang, Wizard, Catwoman and Shadow Thief. Frankly, I'd rather see them than Gorilla Grodd, Sinestro and Star Sapphire. Speaking of Saf, the indication number 1 was that she knew more about what was going on with the Secret Society and who was behind it than the others did. But issue 2 did not concern itself with any of these discrepancies. Instead, it was as though we were reading an entirely new story with no connecting plot threads from number 1, which is kind of what we said about the soft reboot thing almost in like third issue 1. Instead, issue 2 tells us that Manhunter is actually not a villain at all, but a good guy who has somehow become privy to all of the secrets behind the Society of Supervillains. How? And how is he able to enlist the aids of all those real villains to combat the Society's benefactor, the evil Darkseid? I should think that his evil compatriots would be more enraged at discovering that Manhunter is a good guy than they would at discovering that Darkseid has financed the secret society. After all, why should they care what Darkseid does in his own time? The entire premise on which this series is based has become an awkward and shaky one. This plot needs to be tightened considerably. Too many integral details have been left out of the story. I am very, very lost. And that's from Scott Gibson, Evergreen, Colorado.
Editorial response. We hope that subsequent issues have cleared up your confusion, Scott. But if not, stay tuned.
Yeah, I kind of see Scott's point, but at the same time, there is an element of crediting the readership with some intelligence at the same time. We didn't really need to see all the stuff.
Yeah.
We can just sort of draw the inference that some time has passed.
Yeah.
And they've got used to each other and they're organised.
I'd like to refer Scott to Justice League of America and see how often the entire Justice League turns up for an issue.
Sure, that's a fair point.
So, yeah, it's pretty logical, I think, that sometimes some characters won't be there. But as I said, Shadow Thief literally bowed out in the first one.
And Catwoman is only listed and not even seen. So.
No, she was not seen, and that's something that should have been penciled out of the caption box.
Absolutely. So the final letter in issue 4 goes like this.
Dear Jerry and Company, I just had to wait until after reading Secret Society 2 before writing you and making any sort of comment. After seeing that number 1 was in the stands, I had great trepidations about the book, from its format down to the cast of characters and to the directions in which the book could be heading after a given amount of time. In any event, I've been wrong before, and I'm wrong again. I don't really know how many of the characters I'm wild about, Jerry, but I was rather taken by your approach regarding the Manhunter clone. I had suspected that he was a goodie, but I never thought that it would be revealed so soon. Whether or not his secret is ever discovered, I hope that he remains as a member of the Society's regular lineup. I can see Grodd staying on, maybe even Sinestro and the Mirror Master. Star Sapphire and the rest, well, I hate to say it, old friend, but if they were to be replaced, and I hope they are, I would rather see in their stead the likes of Lex Luthor, Dr. Light, Felix Faust, and the more sophisticated criminals and their ilk. After all, the Secret Society is made just for the likes of them. And now for Captain Comet. What of his fate? It is for the readers to decide, right? Let us say for the moment that next issue will end the villain's war for the time being. What of Captain Comet? Would he stay on with the Society? Or must he wander aimlessly until something better comes along? Well, I can't see him as a villain. I can't see him appearing as the token hero of the book either. So says Dave Callis, Clayton, Missouri. Stay tuned, Dave Callis.
Yeah, no editorial response. Thing is, he doesn't feel like a token hero at all.
No.
It's a very clever, sort of crafted sort of thing. They could have made Green Lantern the recurring hero, or they could have got Elongated Man to be to knock through it. But Captain Comet, he's almost a bit of a blank slate. There's a lot of potential there because he's the man out of time, who's born out of time and is now literally out of time because he's come back after 20 years. There's a lot of story potential in him that contrasts with the villain stuff. I think there's a good, there's a sort of a maiming balance for the benefit of our YouTube viewers.
It's very Les Miserables with, Captain Comet is the detective who's obsessed with tracking down the villain in his eyes.
That's an excellent analogy. Did we mention that Kelly has started a new podcast about the history of all the Paris metro stations? And I believe at the moment she's writing scripts for a second series, which is all going to be authors. So make sure you check that out because she's bound to do something about Victor Hugo. Sure she is.
Absolutely.
So that was a bit of chat about issue 2. Now jumping on to issue 3, published on the 3rd of June 1976. And Peter will now obviously, hopefully, tell us about the cover.
We have the cigar band at the top. The bicentennial is over, folks. On the cigar band, we have Gorilla Grodd, Captain Cold, and Star Sapphire once again. Secret Society of Supervillains, the line of DC superstars. It's evil against evil, man against God, the war to rule the universe. 30 cents, number 3, October, and the production code is 30646. Approved by the Comics Code Authority. Grodd, the Super Gorilla, Captain Cold, Manhunter, Star Sapphire are all listed. And the main image in the cover, there's a big viewing screen. And on the viewing screen, there's a fight between some of the members of the Secret Society and Mantis and his goons. The Secret Society members are Captain Boomerang, Gorilla Grodd, Sinestro, and Manhunter. And they're all having fisticuffs against these bad guys. My goodness.
Very much so.
But watching this screen is the figure, the evil, the big bad. It's Darkseid. He looks aghast. Pointing at the action on the screen is his son, Calibac, who says,
"See, great Darkseid, madness cannot stop the supervillains. Only I can bring you their heads."
And there's a caption that says, "Action, excitement, and the most dangerous menaces of all."
That's Caliback's first appearance on the podcast.
Yes, indeed, yes.
Tell us very quickly about Caliback.
He's Darkseid's son. He's basically Orion's brother. He's a bit thick and thinks he's better than he is.
Interesting.
And obviously he has ambitions, but Darkseid always kind of just bats him away and uses him as a pawn.
Okay.
But he's, again, a very, very powerful guy. So, yes.
I see. Right then, with all that in mind, we should jump into the story. Along the top of the first opening page, a scroll reads, The Secret Society of Supervillains, and we see Darkseid making his first full proper appearance in the story. After being on a screen last issue, he's standing, arms folded, looking down at someone who's basically a sort of pinkly purple skin, wearing purple robes, purple boots, and a weird sort of metallic harness and things wrapped around his thighs, and his weird wristbands with big sharp spikes poking out of them. I would not like to brush past him in the queue at the cinema. Darkseid stands with his arms folded, looking down at this fellow, and he says,
Do not grovel, fool. It ill becomes one of your rank. I have not forgotten your recent failure. I have merely chosen to ignore it and give you a chance to redeem yourself in my war for Earthdeath.
I wonder what Darkseid could be referring to here. Is there some plot element from one of the New God stories that's required, or will we pick it up as we go along? Let's see.
This is quite separate from the New God stuff. It doesn't really pick up any
I
of
wonder
the-
what this recent failure could be. Listeners, maybe someone will tell us. And the figure bound below him, as we've seen, is Caliback, who is bowing and says, I exist but to serve you, great Darkseid. And along the bottom of the page we get the not very clear credits for the issue.
David A. Kraft, writer. Pablo Marcos and Vince Coletta, artists. Carl Gafford, colourist. Ben Oda, letterer. Jerry Conway, editor.
Very interesting that we're starting to get colourists credited now.
Yay.
Next couple of pages are a gorgeous big double page spread, very, very Kirby influenced machinery that Darkseid is looking at with a myriad of screens. He's looking at all these screens. On them we can see highlighted Manhunter, Captain Comet, Star Sapphire, the Sinister Citadel, Copperhead, Gorilla Grodd, Minimaster, Sinestro, Captain Cold and Mantis. All on these screens and all identified and labelled individually. There might be room for this in the socials. We shall see. Darkseid is looking at all this and he's saying,
Then arise, dog, and observe. Until recently, I relied solely on Intergang as my secret strike force on Earth. They were effective, but insufficient. Thus, I funded the formation of a new group, a secret society of supervillains.
And the still bent over in shadow, Caliback replies, And now, sire?
Now, the leader, the Manhunter clone, seeks to turn them against me. Mantis contends with them even as we speak, yet the outcome of the fray is uncertain and may require intervention. The video images flutter and give way as Darkseid shifts the camera focus to Earth, or rather, beneath its surface.
We return to last issue's cliffhanger as Mantis threatens Star Sapphire, Captain Cold and Manhunter, who stand over the unconscious bodies of Gorilla Grodd and Captain Comet. Ignoring Manhunter's shouted desire that they should work together, Captain Cold fires on Mantis, but Mantis handblasts Captain Cold, knocking him out. Sapphire also ignores Manhunter and zaps Mantis before Mantis gestures with a skit and says, I feed on power and I can absorb it faster than your gem can produce it. And he drains Sapphire's power. As she falls to the ground, Manhunter's anger gets the better of him and he leaps towards Mantis only to be thwap as Mantis discharges the energy he has just absorbed from Sapphire. As Manhunter and Sapphire start to recover, Sapphire looks at Mantis, saying,
What is Darkseid anyway? Why do you serve him?
Darkseid is a god, the ruler of all apocalypse. He gave me my powers and promised me mastery of Earth, the doomed dominion.
And what of this secret society? Where do we fit in?
As privileged slaves.
Yet, even as he speaks, Star Sapphire gauges distance and acts.
She flies forward, grabbing Manhunter by the arm, saying,
I will be slave to no man. Ever! It's time we made our escape.
Escape? Replies Kirk.
Oui. Or would you rather stay behind?
But what about the others?
The devil takes the others, Manhunter.
He will, Camille. Believe me, he will. If we don't rescue them first. And they fly off, with Mantis waving a hand after them, shouting, Run, mortals, run! Return with reinforcements if you will. Mantis shall be waiting. And as they fly out the open double doors, Sapphire replies,
Au revoir, Monsieur Mantis.
And Mantis thinks, Perfect. They will rise to the bait.
And indeed they do, each in different fashion.
Yeah, we see Manhunter flying off to the left of the picture in the little Quinjet thing. Star Sapphire flying off on the right, with Manhunter saying, Star Sapphire, wait! Where are you going? The Secret Society is now Earth's only protection against Darkseid.
Wrong, Manhunter, mon ami. We are just in it for the money. But there are those who eagerly defend Earth for free. I'm going to find a superhero.
And they fly off. Page 7 is a flashback where we see Copperhead being incarcerated in a San Francisco prison following the events of issue 1. Copperhead tells the prison guards that he was set up by the Secret Society of Supervillains, but the boys in blue aren't interested, leaving him to brood on his own. A short while after, however, the wall of his cell explodes with a boom. Copperhead is delighted to be rescued, but when he sees his rescuer, who is unseen by the reader, he cries,
No, not you! Not you!
The two guards return, seeing the hole in the wall. You know, Pete, maybe there was something to Copperhead's story after all.
Yeah, maybe, Dave.
Peter getting to play someone called Pete there, listeners. It's good, isn't it? Back in the present, we're treated to a scene where Captain Boomerang and Mirror Master swindle a burger bar out of $3.02 worth of cheeseburgers and fries by using Mirror Master's special contact lenses. They return to the Secret Society HQ, and as they take the lift, they converse.
What do you think about the so-called Secret Society? The whole bit.
Depends what's in it for me, mate. So far, so good. But I've got a sneaking suspicion there's more to it than we've been told.
I know what you mean, Digger. I ain't so crazy about the society myself. But this sure is a swell joint for hanging out.
They arrive to find the Wizard, Sinestro and Hijack of the Royal Flush Gang relaxing by the pool. They're also worried about the non-return of Captain Comet and his group. Boomerang attempts to reassure them. Jack manages to wind up Sinestro enough that they almost come to blows. Manhunter arrives in time to stop them, saying, Save your anger for a mutual foe. Grodd and the others need help, and they need it now. Hijack isn't having it, he says. Let them help themselves. And Wizard says,
Indeed. What have they ever done for us, Manhunter?
And Sinestro chips in with, Naught. Manhunter gets a poorly rendered close-up as he says, At least hear me out, villains. You're all being used in a coldly calculated game of strategy, a secret war for the utter domination of Earth by outside forces. You'll be no more than slaves if that happens. It's in your own self-interest to aid me and others in opposing Darkseid. Hijack says, Tell us more, Manhunter, quickly. Sinestro chips in with, Just how do you know all this? And Boomerang says, Aye, mate. How? Manhunter replies, The enemy is our malevolent benefactor who took me into his confidence as regent of the Secret Society. And we see a nice silhouetted shot of Manhunter from behind as a caption reads,
There is a sheer charisma about this clone of a man, an intangible aura of authority that supports the urgency of his impassioned plea for help. Yet his dire words fail to move two fellow society members.
Yes, we see Sinestro and the Wizard looking very sceptical. Sinestro says, Neither of us is native to this Earth, Wizard. Thus its fate matters not. Still, let us play along. For now.
Agreed, Sinestro. For now.
And at this, Manhunter, looking impassioned, says to the team, Well, group, are you with me? Sinestro replies, We're with you. All the way. And Manhunter again raises a single fist and cries, Then let's go. We get a great dynamic shot of the team of Boomerang, Mirror Master, Hijack, Sinestro, Manhunter and the Wizard rushing towards us as Manhunter cries, From here on, we've got to stop thinking like loners. We're a team now. We're the Secret Society of Supervillains, and let Darkseid beware.
It is well known in Apocalypse that Darkseid does not tolerate open defiance, especially among the ranks of his own forces, and that he has spies everywhere to advise him of any traitorous actions before they even happen.
Yes, and we see that the villain's exit has been watched and observed by Carstairs the butler, who lurks in the shadows, looking very, very thoughtful indeed. Gosh, Carstairs for Darkseid. Over the page, a caption reads,
High above, in the warm but windy San Francisco sky,
Star Sapphire is cutting about, as we would say over here. She's thinking,
Mon Dieu, this may be more difficult than I had imagined. Just how does one find a superhero anyway?
You don't, Star Sapphire. They find you.
Yes, by enormous coincidence, Green Lantern Hal Jordan just happens to be flying by. He spots Sapphire and thinks, It can't be, not here. But it is, the new Star Sapphire. What luck. and he flies towards her, gestures with his power ring, catching her on a little hoop. He cries, "Easy, lady. I was looking for Grodd and his two pals, but you'll do. If you're in this town, you're probably involved with them."
Green Lantern!
None other. I defeated your predecessor many times. Why not learn from that and give up?
I will never willingly surrender to any man. Not even you, Emerald Crusader. For, as you can see, my royal Star Sapphire is equal to your vaunted power ring.
Yes, it's not very clear in the artwork, but she's obviously gestured and fired a burst of purple energy at Hal's GL beam. She continues,
But I will lead you to those you seek. They need help against a far greater villain than you have ever known. Will you follow me, Green Lantern?
"Into a trap? Hardly.
It is no trap, Lantern. You have my word on it.
The last Sapphire wasn't a liar. I'm going to have to bet that you aren't either." Meanwhile, Manhunter and the others have arrived at Darkseid's secret subterranean sanctum in their little flying bubble ship. They're able to sneak in after Mirror Master mesmerizes the guards, and we then see that Mantis has Comet, Gorilla Grodd, and the others held in shackles, and Mantis is himself recharging in his special renewal pod. Mantis speechifies about how the secret society is doomed, and how when the other members turn up to rescue the prisoners, he'll be fully charged and ready. However, he isn't fully charged, and is rattled when Captain Boomerang and Hijack attack him. Mantis tells his guards to attack the attackers, but Jack and Digger quickly take them out. Manhunter frees Captain Cold, Captain Comet, and Gorilla Grodd, and as Wizard and Sinestro consider their options, Mantis hand blasts Jack and Boomerang. He squares up to the others and tussles with Comet, Manhunter, and Cold. Before Comet and Grodd catch Mantis with a double punch, Mantis sets a couple of his guards on the society, which distract the villains, allowing Mantis to fly off, saying, "You've won this round, villains, but I warn you, the battle is far from over." Manhunter's reply, "Maybe, but today, by working as a team, we earned our first victory as the secret society of supervillains, and from now on, let Darkseid beware." And this is a great shot of Grodd and Manhunter and Sinestro and the Wizard, both standing slightly to the side looking shifty, and Captain Comet looking very pleased, and Mirror Master and Hijack and Captain Cold, and someone who looks nothing like Captain Boomerang. He seems to be wearing his hat, but he doesn't seem to have the sideys. He looks about 30 years too young and 30 times more handsome. They all look very, very pleased with themselves. And then the camera pulls back, and we see that this image of the villains is being observed on a screen by Darkseid, who says,
They grow insolent. They dare to mock me. Therefore, they must be disciplined.
"Or destroyed."
Exactly. We shall go to Earth, Calibac.
"Good."
And there you shall redeem yourself.
And the closing caption reads,
Next issue, Rebellion in the Ranks, the coming of Calibac the Cruel, and the Super Slugfest of the Century. On sale first week in August.
So, not a huge amount of plot advancement there, quite a lot of fighting.
Yes.
We get the seeds of Sinestro and the Wizard not being too happy with what's going on.
Yeah.
Nice that Copperhead wasn't forgotten.
Mm-hmm. A nice side story there with Copperhead.
Yes. I think I can just about remember who came to rescue him.
But all in all, great fun. I do like the guys lounging by the pool in their full costumes. It's hilarious.
Yes.
Wizard with his full tuxedo, cape, top hat and everything.
Yes.
Lounging by the pool.
Yes, he could have taken the hat off, maybe get a few more rays, but he chooses not to.
Gets tanned by magic. It's
Yes.
fine. No, that was glorious.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, still room for nice character moments. We summarised a lot of stuff in this one, listeners, obviously, because we're trying to cover 2 issues at once. This is what we're doing with all the ongoing books.
Yeah.
We will put some good highlights in the socials, though, so you get the gist of it. I did enjoy this scene at the burger bar.
Yeah.
You know, the Manhunter is really emerging as the leader.
Yeah.
And I'm liking this idea that he is trying to unite the other baddies against a greater foe.
A bigger baddie. The biggest bad of all.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how well this works going forward.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Because, let's face it, they couldn't sustain an ongoing series. Just all of them up against Darkseid every single month. So this story has to go somewhere.
Yeah. You saying that out loud makes you think this could only be at most a 6 or 7 issue long arc, maybe with other characters getting involved as it goes along, but it would have to end before too long. It does seem to be building. It was almost casual the way that Darkseid's sort of involvement was sort of given, that, you know, we saw him, and, you know, following on from issue 2, we didn't really find out how Manhunter found out, which is a little dissatisfying.
Again, it's that issue 1.5 that we wish we had, you know, just to fill in some gaps.
Narrative leaps. I'm enjoying this one usually. Just the pace of it all.
Mm-hmm.
The fights are very easy to summarise when we're reading it in this sort of way.
Yeah.
But the unfortunate thing about that is that we're not really giving maybe enough emphasis to how good Pablo Marcos's art was in this issue.
Yeah, it was very good.
Lots of dynamic images and things.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the shadowed back of Manhunter that they put a caption box over, not even a box, but just written the caption on his tunic, as it were.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just in the dark shade. It's a really nice touch. I like that. One thing I found absolutely hilarious about this issue, though, is when Boomerang and Scudder go out for their burgers and their civvies, and then they come back with burgers for everyone, and literally Carstairs the butler is bringing them all a giant turkey dinner.
Yes.
At the same time. That is hilarious.
Again, like, we'd love to do full reads on every issue that we're covering, but because there's this glut of ongoing books at this point in the 70s, we're having to sort of summarise bits of them as we go, because otherwise we'll never get anywhere. So listeners, bear with us. Hopefully you've got these stories, you can read along with us and get the gist of it, but we're kind of trying to get the essence of what's going on, and the fight, as I keep saying, the fight page is the easiest ones to summarise.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, things are definitely ramping up there. Darkseid sending Callie back to Earth, that will be the backbone of the next issue, obviously, which we'll do next time. And I'm getting quite amused at Mantis constantly being renewed and recharging, but not quite ready yet.
Yeah.
And it kind of ties in with what you're saying about him having a very high opinion of himself. And
yeah,
such like.
Exactly. And as I said, he is like second in power when he's fully charged to Darkseid, but it doesn't last long.
No. Nice to see the little exchange between Green Lantern and Star Sapphire.
Especially reference to your predecessor.
Yeah,
which
so
is fascinating.
Hal obviously is realising this is not Carol Ferris, and I would love to get some more info on who this woman is, and
Oh, stay tuned. Let's find out.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens, won't we, listeners? So many questions, but I'm really enjoying this one so much more than Freedom Fighters. But obviously there's been some creative changes, because David Kraft is full writer in this one, but you get the sense that he probably had a conversation with Jerry about what what would be the best way to go with it.
You do feel there's a direction in this and it is going somewhere, as opposed to Freedom Fighters, which just seems quite haphazardly all over the place.
And All-Star Comics obviously is quite consistent.
Yeah,
That's not as spotty as Freedom Fighters. We're being very down on Freedom Fighters. We'll have to see how we get on with the future issues.
Weirdly, Freedom Fighters are on a similar boat just now as the Secret Society, because they're wanted by the police as well at the moment. So
wouldn't it be great if they all teamed up?
Imagine.
I'm looking at the camera.
Imagine in about a dozen issues if they decided to do a crossover.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
That'd be sensational.
I really hope that nothing would happen at DC Comics that would maybe... Anyway.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned on that bombshell. I think we should probably just jump to the letters at this point.
Let's do that. Let's jump to the Sinister Citadel page on issue 5. And the first letter says...
Dear Editor, The Secret Society of Supervillains looks to be a very promising comic despite the length of its title. It's a good Scrabble score. The return of Captain Comet in issue 2, followed by the return of Darkseid, with both welcome sights. There is considerable potential in this series. The villain's war with Darkseid, both sides here are too powerful as to be considered anything less than a war, shows this considerable potential clearly. Don't let the Society defeat Darkseid or be defeated by him too soon. Darkseid is too awesome a menace to be beaten off after only a few battles, nor is the Society itself made up of a bunch of pushovers. The chance exists with SSSV to create a continuing epic of enormous proportions. This is true. Just imagine. It's possible to have the Society fight the forces of Darkseid for several issues, then face some other unrelated foe for an issue or two before going after Darkseid for another round. It is even possible for some members of the Society to be fighting different unrelated foes while the rest of the organisation battles Darkseid. Sinestro's and the Wizard's reluctance to fight Darkseid show that it's possible for members of the Society to refuse to go along with the Society as a whole. In this way, you could have both continuing epics and occasionally complete in one issue individual stories. Every few issues, we could have a break from the main epic. And that's kind of what they do in a way, really, isn't it?
Yep.
As for the membership of the Society, I favour the dropping of Captain Boomerang. He seems outclassed here and adds little to the Society. Captain Cold, despite him being one of my favourite Flash villains, is also of little value here and should be dropped. Both villains are too limited. What? Despite the cold gun and the trick boomerangs, well, mate, you've just undercut your whole argument there. Manhunter, despite his lacking superpowers, except, of course, for his healing powers, is a skilled fighter with many desirable characteristics. He's an asset to the Society. Stop saying Society. Captain Comet, Star Sapphire and Sinestro are all powerful, well-developed characters. Of the rest, Grodd, Copperhead, Mirror Master, the Wizard and Hijack should be kept around for a few more issues to see how they work out. The Shadow Thief is a fairly weak character and should be dropped. He also, if you pardon the pun, lacks depth, and that's from Daniel P.E.I., Bergenfield, New Jersey. Interesting points, though. I kind of disagree. I quite like Boomerang and Cold. They're very interesting. They always have been two of the most interesting members of the Rogues. You could argue a case that maybe there's a little too many of them, and focusing on a smaller number of villains might give everyone a chance to breathe.
Yeah, maybe. Very true. Very true.
Second letter goes like this.
Dear Editor, Secret Society issue 3 was a trifle disappointing. The idealism of the Kirk clone is becoming so thick, he threatens to become the group's Captain America. What's wrong with that? One should hope that this mag avoids becoming a mirror image of the Avengers. The battle scenes remain dominated by Grodd, Captain Comet, Captain Cold, Manhunter and Star Sapphire. Why have members of the stature of Sinestro, Mirror Master and the Wizard if they're not going to be used to a measurable extent? I would advise either streamlining the group or broadening the coverage. For those who criticise the abundance of Flash villains, I must point out that by their very nature they are apt to be more ingenious than the foes of Superman or Green Lantern, since those two can be faced by foes with vast power or villains exploiting their convenient weaknesses. Flash, on the other hand, possesses a preponderous ability with no simple Achilles heel. Thus his foes have been forced to create improving countermeasures. Several Flash foes could mop up the floor with lesser heroes like Aquaman. Speaking of which, Aqua foes like Black Manta are more useless on land than Aquaman himself and should be left out of the mag. In the matter of Bat villains, kindly omit those with bundles of neuroses, Joker, Two-Face, Riddler, etc., from consideration. Admittedly, this leaves us with such non-entities as the Clue Master. Omit them too. Basically, however, members should be chosen on individual capabilities and not on the basis of which hero has them locked up for his mag. The DC habit of tailoring villains for individual heroes has deprived the reader of such potentially great battles as Captain Boomerang versus Batman, Mr. 104 versus Metamorpho, and Mirror Master versus Hawkman.
Yeah, because Hawkman would kick his backside, but at least it would look cool. Because Hawkman's a great visual character. Mirror Master with his abilities. That would be interesting.
Captain Boomerang versus Batman does happen.
Yeah.
But Mr. 104 versus Metamorpho would be excellent. Anyway, the letter continues. For the future, the Secret Society should combat other crime organisations. The Brotherhood of Evil, either revived under Madame Rouge, or assuming the survival of the Brain and Mala, the latter being most favoured. And out-of-work superheroes, the Hawk and Dove, perhaps a revived Doom Patrol under Mento. This could be accomplished either within the Apocalypse format or outside it. For the moment, however, this mag seems to be the perfect place for Phase 2 of the War of the New Gods. So says Ted Longstreth from Orlando, Florida.
Interesting that he's sort of going through the idea of other villains that could or could not be used, because obviously Black Manta, spoiler, and Clue Master, spoiler, don't pop up in this series.
No, true.
But it's good that someone's having thoughts about who else could feature. Editorial response. Our new creative team of story editor Jack Harris, writer Bob Bazakis, and artist Rich Butler will be embarking in a new direction for the Secret Society as of next issue. That's issue 6. Now, if that doesn't tantalise you listeners, I don't know what does. Be here early so you can get a good seat, and then they just invite people to write to the Sinister Citadel. And that's about all. So nothing really there too specific to the issue that we've just covered, but there is a definite sense that Manhunter has got the rest of the bad guys organised together. Darkseid is aware of this, and definitely a sense that things are going to escalate in the next issue.
Or indeed next week when we cover the next 2 issues.
Issues 4 and 5. At the point of recording, I am nearly finished my summary of issue 5, so shouldn't be any problem with the recording of that, hopefully.
Super duper. Yes.
Excellent.
No, again, 2 issues, very enjoyable, progressing rather nicely. Very soap opera as well. Lots of action, but it does feel that it's building to something.
Yeah.
It is coming to a head, and that might even happen next week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying them a lot. It does feel very Marvel-y. It does feel very Defenders-y.
Yeah.
That's probably why. But I think that's obviously the influence of Jerry Conway. I mean,
yeah,
we're kind of getting away from that period of the DC stuff where each kind of series is more or less isolated on its own. There is a definite real sense of, I mean, where else are you going to see Captain Boomerang fighting Mantis, for example? You know, that would have been unheard of a couple of years before this.
Yeah,
you know,
it's crazy.
It's really good, and bringing back Captain Comet and all that. It's really, really well done. It's really interesting. It's very exciting to read, and it's building, and I cannot wait to record the next episode.
Yes, me neither. Listeners, can you wait for us to record the next episode? Why don't you write to us and let us know? You can email us at theearth2podcast@gmail.com. Make sure you follow us on social media, because we're putting up some lovely bonus material for this and indeed every episode. David does a fantastic job of that.
Do my best.
On Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky, we're at the Earth2 Podcast, and on Twitter, we're at podcast_Earth2, and it's the number 2 for all of our socials.
It certainly is. If you're feeling generous, please consider going to wherever it is you receive your podcasts and leaving us a positive review. Such things are good for our visibility, as I always say. Or you can consider sharing some of our posts on the socials, or telling your pals, or finding your way to our coffee page and buying Peter the price of a beverage as he struggles to edit me saying the word unscrupulous in our Christmas episode. That's something to look forward to. On that bombshell.
I have been Peter.
And I've been David. We'll see you soon for the climax of the first arc of the Secret Society of Supervillains on
The
Earth2 Podcast.
Transmatter cube activated. Return coordinates set for Earth Prime.
Hang on.
The unbagging ceremony. I was just
Excuse me, cough splutter. Right.
The ceremonial cough for the unbagging
Yes.
ceremony.